Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new Elder Scrolls Online guide video with me, Sherman. Today we're going to be talking about rotations and how they work and what a rotation is. So this way it gives you guys a better understanding of how you can create your own rotation and find what works best for you for the build you're trying to play, or if you're playing a pre-designed build with a certain rotation, it'll help you understand that rotation a little bit better. So the first thing you need to know about a rotation is this. It is a combination of skills, light attacks, used in succession to create a damage per second rating. That's it. It's that simple. But it can get complicated when you get into the more advanced rotations that have animation canceling, block casting, and other elements to them that make it a little bit more difficult to do. Now in this, I'm going to be showing you guys a simple rotation with a build that I will be releasing in the next update, but it's not as simplified as this one. It is as simplified, but it's not using the same gear as this one. It's using some different gear stuff, and it's a little bit more advanced. So it is going to be in my advanced builds. It is something that you can play in dungeons. It is something you can play in normal trials, and it can help you get started to get the stuff you need for the more in-game type of play. So this is just a stand sort that I play on live, and I have it set up to something that's comfortable to me because I'm not as skilled as other DPS players at a rotation. So I'm using something that fits my play style till I become better at a rotation with this build. Once I become better, I'll incorporate new skills into the build and create a more advanced version of it. So more of a master build of it. I know, it sounds weird. But I'm going to go through the skills and explain why you set them in a certain way to get the most out of them. So if you look here, this is on my front bar. This is my two-handed bar. And you'll see I have Wrecking Blow, Carve, Reverse Slice, Bound Armaments, Evil Hunter, and Dawnbreaker. Flawless Dawnbreaker. And the reason I have it set up this way is, one, it makes it a little bit easier to control because you're not having to use a lot of different abilities to do the rotation. The more abilities you add, the more resources you expend. And then with the more resources you expend, the more complicated the rotation will become, because then you gotta time in when you do heavy attacks, when you use potions, when you use a lot of different things, because you don't want to be running out of resources when you're on a target skeleton practicing. So a target skeleton is good for one thing, really. You can use it to determine your group's capabilities at bringing down a boss, like this. You can use it to determine your own capabilities of bringing down a encounter in a trial and get your own individual readings with something like this. Or you can use another one like this to get an idea of what it would be like to take down a end boss of a dungeon in hard mode. But then you have the other skeleton, the one that, now this is one I'm going to be testing on, and this is called the Precursor. And this one is good for your individual on dungeon bosses. Like, all the dungeon bosses in the game have about 1.8 million health. Maybe some have a little bit higher, but this is a good way to determine how much damage output you can have on that kind of encounter. Now this guy does have 9,100 resistances for some reason, and I don't know if he does have 18k, 18,200, because it doesn't seem to work that way, because I can push like 26, almost 30k on this guy, compared to the other ones where I can do like 18 to 20k with this build. But that's because, like I said, every build is different, because your rotation is going to be different because of your capabilities. So first off, we're going to do the rotation in succession. So I'm going to do the full rotation and show you guys the outcome. Then I'm going to go through and I'm going to show you guys the rotation in a slower way so you can see how it works. So I'm going to go ahead and buff up. Start with my You guys are probably hearing a lot of clicking over here because I'm doing it. Oops, switch. And then it's done. Alright. Not that great, 20k. But I made a lot of mistakes. So, usually I have a really set pattern of how I do this. So I'll do it one more time, and this time I'll do it to its fullest, so you guys can see. There we go. 25k. That's a lot better, but you can see how with just a simple change and doing the rotation in a proper manner can give you greater results. So I'm going to show you on my combat matrix. I got to turn it on because for some reason it keeps doing this to me. It keeps making me reset all my key bindings when I come over to PTS. Alright, so now you can see that I did 25,000 damage per second. Now this would be like if I was fighting a 1.8 million boss. I could pull 25k DPS roughly. Okay? Now, what did I pull the first time? The first time I did it, I pulled 20k, and that's because I made mistakes. And everyone's prone to making mistakes. But what a skeleton allows you to do is it allows you to hone your skill with that rotation. You hone your skill of mechanics by playing content. You hone your skill of a rotation on a target skeleton. Now, just because I showed you that I can pull 25k doesn't mean I'm going to always pull 25k, because there will always be mistakes. There will always be things that will change that dynamic. But you also have to look at one other factor. My character has 1,000 penetration. That's it. Nothing more. And that's because when I've played in groups, I've had to adjust my penetration value to meet the group's standard. On average, the group I play with, we have about 17k penetration, or I do, with the tank and all the other debuffs. So this will take me to 18k, not quite 18,200, but I don't want to over-penetrate. So this puts me right in range where I'm not over-penetrating, but I'm doing enough damage to where I can pull about 30k in a dungeon on a boss. So that's why I like this setup. It's easy to understand and it's easy to play. Because I'm not as skilled as other people with rotations, so I need something that works for me. So this works for me. Now, when you go into a rotation, you always want to make sure that you have your buffs up. That's the first thing. And I made a mistake. I hit the wrong key. So, Hurricane, Crit Surge, and then I'm going to do the rotation. So I start with Poison Injection. I do a light attack. Then I do Endless Hail. Then I do a light attack. Swap bars. Uppercut. Light attack. Brawler or Carve. Light attack. This light attack, and then swap bars. Because if you don't light attack after you do this, and you go to swap bars, it won't do it. It'll for some reason, Wrecking Blow into a light attack doesn't give you the ability to swap bars, or without doing a light attack won't allow you to swap bars. It'll automatically fire the Wrecking Blow again. So you want to do that light attack afterwards so you can swap bars, do the light attack, then swap back to here and start the rotation again with Poison Injection, light attack. And you'll see, like, I can do this and you'll see sometimes it won't look like I do a light attack because, or show the animation of it, because I'm actually canceling it. Because I'll do this, and because of how fast my character, my button press is right afterwards, it looks like I'm not even doing a light attack to a degree. So, and then I can just do this, depending on how and usually what I'll do is I'll do the Wrecking Blow, Carve, light attack, Wrecking Blow again, light attack, so I can swap bars and then do this part of the rotation. And like I said, every rotation's different depending on the build. So some builds might have a rotation where you stay on the front bar and spam one ability a few times. One might have where you do the front bar and automatically swap to the back bar. It really just comes down to the build itself and how it's put together and how it works. So how do you make your own rotation? Well, that's what I mean by finding what works best for you in the beginning. Now, as you progress through the game and you become better at your rotation, you can change out skills to add new skills that might increase your DPS. So in this case, for me, I could change out one of these skills, like, say, Evil Hunter, start using potions to give me the extra crit. I can move my abilities around and use either another weapon ability, which there isn't really anything that would be worthwhile in the sense of what I have. So I can go with something like the Fighter's Guild, and this is usually what I do, is I put Trap Beast right here. And then I'll use potions to give me the extra crit. So I can use a potion and it'll last 45 seconds, get the crit bonus from it and the extra weapon damage, and I don't even need crit surge in, so I can actually take crit surge off and I can put caltrops back here. So once you become comfortable with a build and the way it plays, then you can start swapping things out. But there's always one way you want to keep a build to get the most advantage out of it. So that's kind of the purpose of the game, is to find what works best for the individual, let them play that way for a while, get comfortable, and then incorporate new things to make it to where you do more damage. So if I were to have these unlocked, I don't here, I do on live, I have caltrops unlocked, and I use razor caltrops on the back bar. Like if I'm playing in an actual trial group, I can play. I'm not as good because of my rotation's not that great, but I can incorporate caltrops on the back bar, and then I have to I take Evil Hunter off and I move this over and I put Trap Beast on the front bar, and I have a rotation that I use for that specific combination. So it's a matter of finding the combination that works best for the individual and how to maximize its potential. And sometimes it's a placement of skills, sometimes it's an activation process of skills. And it depends on what version of the game you're playing. If you're playing on PC with keyboard and mouse, you want to have your key set up to where it's comfortable to you. If you're playing on console, you want the key pressing to be comfortable to you. And you want the activation of that rotation to be comfortable. So rotation is just finding a combination of skills that works best for maximizing your DPS, or your damage per second. And that's pretty much it. It's not a complicated rocket science. Now, one of the things that you can do to practice a rotation, this is how I started, was I took the advice of somebody else who was helping me try to work on my rotation. And I was having trouble trying to find a way to work Wrecking Blow into it. And what we came up with was test Wrecking Blow with itself and just sit here and do this until you get this down. Until you get this and this. This and this. So just doing the Wrecking Blow into the heavy attack and making sure that it works for you in a way that is best for you. Not something that works against you and doesn't allow you the best amount of damage. So now when I release, like I said, when I release this build will have a different setup, because on live I played in a different fashion. It's very similar, but it's also different at the same time. So you don't have as much stamina. I think you have 36k. And actually, I think you actually have less than that. I think you have like 35. But see, if I sit here and just practice with this, without anything, I can sit here and bust out 22k. Because I have mastered that. I've mastered that ability to play with just that one ability. And if I was to do this on one of these guys, I couldn't pull off that, because I couldn't keep the stamina resource coming in. But you got to remember, when you're in a group dynamic, it's different because you have synergies coming in, you have potions, and if you have it, you have potion cooldowns from the alchemy line. I don't have that here. Again, something I don't have here and I don't have on live is the medicinal use to give me the extra cooldown on my potions. I don't have that on live because I don't have it all unlocked. Here, as you can see, I don't have it either. I have like 1 point I can put into it, which is okay, but it's still not as good as having all 3 points into it. So that's why I don't use this character for in-game, is I don't have all the tools necessary yet to be really effective at in-game. It's not that I couldn't do it. I could probably play in a veteran trial and still pull it off, but I'd have to do a lot of heavy attacks, which would slow my rotation down and make my DPS less. So it's something that you got to look at. Like, you want to keep your character working in a certain pattern. So, but again, a rotation is a combination of skills, light attacks, possibly heavy attacks for resource return if you're having trouble with it. Maybe it's a combination of of abilities and heavy attacks because of your class and your rotation setup. But a lot of rotations depend on different factors. So, but that's pretty much it for the video, guys. I hope this helps. I hope you guys understand what rotations are more about, and I hope I explained it to a greater understanding that was easy to understand. So, but that's pretty much it for the video, guys. You guys know what comes next. If you guys like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you guys want to see more videos by me, you can subscribe. Other than that, thank you all for watching. Until next time, have a wonderful day, and this guy might see you in game. Bye.